Usually when we talk about the Justice League on this channel, I find we do mainly speak about the main 7, maybe even 8, and then of course there are other characters who are potentially as big as Justice League characters, but aren't in the main part of the squad or the group, or maybe they're part of another Justice League team. I found a Tiermaker list where it identified a bunch of characters over the history of DC who have been part of the Justice League, or who have maybe for a moment or a storyline or a series of comics had to join up into the Justice League, or even villains for a certain amount of time who had to join the heroes a part of a Justice League group. I am sure there are so many other characters in DC's history that have been part of the Justice League or have had to be part of the team for a certain amount of time. There is nearly 100 years of this history, so I'm sure there's going to be some characters that are missing on this list, but this is the best I could find. But what we're going to do is we're going to take every character on this list and I'm going to put them into specific sections I believe that they would fit on a Justice League. Although I've changed the rankings. It's not going to be S, A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be as if it is a team. Are you a starter? Are you a backup? Are you a bench warmer? Are you getting cut? I'm treating this the way coaches, general managers, just clubs in general would treat their overall players and how they would delegate their positions. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Okay, good. It's working. We got it ranked from the left here. All-Star, Starter, Backups, Benchwarmers, and Cut Released. Sorry, this ain't against you personally. This is business, but you are out of here. Pack your goddamn locker and find somewhere else to fight crime, because it's not gonna be part of the Hall of Justice. Maybe England needs a team. Go over there. Now, I can already see at the beginning here, there's 2 Animal Mans. This is probably the second Animal Man. The writing is too small at the bottom. Both Animal Men are going to go into the backups, though. Let me just get the other Animal Man out of the way. I think they're a solid power piece, being able to temporarily utilize the power and abilities of animals. Are they starter material, though? No. Now we got the Princess of Gemworld, Amethyst. You know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you. Go warm that seat. Go warm that seat for someone really important. Look, she's magical, she's potentially powerful, but I see a couple of other magical people who are even more powerful than her, so go warm that seat. Andrew Bennett, who's a vampire, he's got some abilities that could be useful in certain situations. For now, I'm going to put him as a backup. I think he could be a powerful force if need be. Once again, Ayo, we need you right now. But I'm not going to put him up as a starter because he's not that simple as that. Now we got Aquaman. I know everyone's going to say, oh, All-Star. I'm going to say, oh no, starter. He's definitely part of the starting squad. In my opinion, Aquaman will never be remembered for me as an all-star of the Justice League. He's never going to be the Tom Brady, the Michael Jordan, the Joe Montana, the Kurt Warner. He's never gonna be that guy for me. He's gonna be the Scottie Pippen to the Michael Jordan. That is understandable for me. Aquaman is ruler of one of the elements on Earth, but part of the Justice League, starter material. Okay, now we got 2 Adams in a row. We got Ray Palmer and Ryan Choi. Both of them are starter material as well. I think you could utilize a lot of good things when it comes to somebody who can turn super tiny but still maintain super strength. The amount of things you can do with a character who can turn as small as an atom, yes, starter material. Atom Smasher. I'm actually going to put him on the Benchwarmers. And the reason why I'm going to put him on the Benchwarmers is because for the Justice League, no. For a Justice Society, I would maybe put him to a backup starter maybe. I just feel like Atom Smasher, the durability is 100% there. He can take some hits. He's just too slow, and he can still get knocked down and knocked out by a powerful enough hit. Atom Smasher has some uses. Not for the Justice League, though. I think they could do without him easily. For the Justice Society, he would move up a stage. But you know what, buddy? You are big enough to keep the benches warm for the whole squad, so please do. Now we move into our first cut / released. That would be August General in Iron, a member of the Great 10, a practically nobody. Sure, a guy who has armor suit and knows how to fight with weapons too, but so do a lot of people on this list, and a little bit better. Sorry, we don't need your services. Then we have Avery Ho, which is actually the Flash of China, and I'm going to put her in Benchwarmers. Like, I'm talking here, if we have an all-star Flash that drops, we have a starter Flash that drops, we even have a backup Flash that drops, if worse came to worst. Okay, Avery, get on the field. But, like, let's be real here. If that many Flashes are dropping to the point where she has to get off the bench to become a backup, to then become a starter, the Justice League is losing whatever battle they're in. Next is Azrael. Now, he's a really good backup, especially to Batman. If something were to happen to Batman, Azrael could fill in as a quick call-in, hey, we need you right now. You a free agent? Because we could use your services. Although, I just feel like Azrael would have no interest in teaming up with a Justice League, but if worst comes to worst, he's there as a backup. Then we have Aztec, and I actually had to look up this character. I don't know too much about this person, and there's actually 2 versions of them. The more I looked up the character, you know, cool, there's some uses they could have, especially when it comes to knowledges of gods, maybe. It's still not enough, though. We're putting you in Benchwarmer. You're another situation, you're like the Avery Ho, where like if a lot of the heavy hitters go down, you need to fill in. But if we're getting to the point where you need to fill in, it's already over. Barbara Gordon, and this isn't a bad one, but she's going into backups, and for good reason. Once again, you got Batman. You don't need her as a starter, although if she is Oracle, she is a useful source of information and analytics. She can give the Justice League any info they may need in a time of dire consequences. So I think she's good as not just a backup to a character, but simply just being a backup to the league. Now, I like Wally West better than Barry Allen, although it is true, Barry Allen is an all-star. That's no doubt about it. Barry Allen has done some of the craziest things in comic books, even though I do believe Wally West is the stronger, faster Flash, but Barry Allen is still an all-star. Then you have potentially the biggest all-star of the all-stars, and we got Batman. And I gotta make sure, to be honest, to throw Batman at the front of the all-stars. I don't even need to go into discussion why Batman is an all-star, not just in the Justice League, but in DC in general. I should probably make another tier above all-star and put Batman in it. All right, Big Barda. We're gonna put her in backups, and the reason for this is because now, this is the Wonder Woman side. If something were to ever happen to Wonder Woman, beep, 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 Barda, what are you up to? We need you right now. She could be used for that. Billy Batson, Shazam, we are putting him in starter because he is starter material. If this was Justice Society, then yes, I would put him in All-Star, but for the Justice League, it's starter. Now, Black Adam, I would say starter, but I'm actually gonna put him in backup. We already got Shazam. If something happens to Shazam, we'll call up Black Adam. Also, too, I don't think Black Adam would really want to be part of a Justice League, but if needed, they can always speed dial him. Black Canary. I know some people might be like, what? But I'm doing it. Backup. And the reason for this is because I kind of feel like Black Canary is a little bit of a drifter. She's a jack of all trades. She can kind of fit into any team in the DC universe that she wants, and she can offer her support and expertise. She is a trainer for fighting styles, especially for the younger generation of heroes. So she can basically be called upon at any time. She doesn't need to be a starter in the league. I think she would be a backup for pretty much every team who just offers her services whenever need be. Next, we have Black Condor. It's the Ryan version because there are actually 3 versions of Black Condor in DC history. We are going to just, I'm sorry, cut, released. We don't want your services. You're not good enough to be stacked with the rest of the league. Your telepathy is cool, but it's still, I believe, on the lower level of telepathy. So we'll make do without. Black Lightning, dude, I gotta be honest, we're going starter. I think this guy has enough power and name no ability to be part of a starting position in the Justice League. He's no all-star yet, but definitely worth a starting spot. If this was like a real franchise like NFL, I'm a huge football fan, he would definitely be going first round. I don't know what pick, maybe anywhere between 12 and 22, but he'd be there. Next is Black Orchid, and she actually has a connection to the green the way Swamp Thing does. But I'm gonna be honest with you, there ain't no room for you part of the Justice League. You're getting cut. Maybe you'll do better in Justice League Dark. You'll have to go through the right channels. But for the Justice League, sorry, we don't need your services. I'm not really interested. Next is Bloodwind, and this is actually a character that isn't really talked about enough, or I don't even really think dealt with enough, and he gets his powers from this thing called Blood Gem. But he's hiddenly actually quite powerful, and it's even stated that he doesn't even know the extent of where his powers could take him. He's got certain generalized powers like superhuman strength or teleportation, but he can also cast illusions, and he also has fear protection too. I actually think he could be useful for a Justice League. Would he be better off in a Justice League Dark? Absolutely. But from the standpoint of a Justice League, if they ever went up against a villain where they needed his services, he would 100% go into the backups. I think he would definitely be a free agent they would pick up. Okay, you got both Blue Beetles, Jamie and Ted. Both Jamie and Ted are going into the starting spots. That Scarab can do some amazing things, whereas I think Ted would be a perfect addition to the Justice League. So would Jamie. I just think that Jamie would also be very good for Justice Society, or maybe even the Teen Titans for a small time. All right, next up is Blue Devil. I don't know too much about this character, but I don't need to know too much about him to know this is a cut. Now you have Blue Jay. There's only pretty much 2 things I know about him. This is a character who can turn down to 7 inches and 3 pounds and literally turn into a bird and then turn back into a full-sized man. I also know that for a time, he was a leader of the Justice League division in Europe. 100% go over there, buddy. You're cut. Booster Gold. I think Booster Gold is deserving of a starting position. Could he arguably be a backup? Sure, but I think starter is fine. He would definitely be a starter in other Justice League teams too. Then you have Bulleteer. Honestly, she has smart skin, so that basically means she's indestructible. Other than that, I don't really know what else she could do. I don't think she has like superhuman strength. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna go cut. Yeah, sorry, we don't need you. You're getting cut. Captain Atom, I was thinking about doing a starter, but I'm gonna do backup. He could be a starter for other Justice League teams, but for the main Justice League team, I'm gonna keep him as a backup. Captain Cold. Not only is he a villain, but would I want his help at any point? I don't even think I'd want him as a backup. I know he has some intelligence with cryogenics, but to be honest with you, I'm going cut. Sorry, buddy. Cassandra Cain, I would actually put her in the backups because she is one of the best fighters in the DC catalog. She might actually be top 5, maybe top 7. Regardless, if worst came to worst, we'd be good with her. Catwoman, this one's a tough one. You could argue backup. You could argue benchwarmer. You could argue being cut. I'm actually going to put her in benchwarmer. And here's why. I don't necessarily think her skills, whatever she utilizes, is needed for a Justice League. Not at all. Although, what I will say is Batman would have some crazy like plan A, B, C, D, and Z. And if things just got absolutely brutal, worst of the worst, one of his plans would utilize Catwoman, and she would have something she would need to do. She's not the worst addition. She certainly is not the best, so Benchwarmer. Commander Steel, I think another somewhat underrated character. He's going into backups. He would be a starter or even an all-star for the Justice Society, for the Justice League. He's definitely a backup. I mean, this is a guy who got punched in the face at full strength from Power Girl, and he didn't even feel a thing. His services could be used. Another character I had to look up because I did not know much about him, Kong Gorilla. Sorry, you're getting cut. I know you might have some telepathic abilities to you. We just don't need you. Next, we have Connor Hawke, and he's actually the son of Green Arrow. Now, the thing about Connor, apparently he is supposed to be one of the best fighters in DC as well. Although, I'm not gonna lie, I would rather have Roy Harper than Connor Hawke. He's not cut, but he's definitely gonna be a bench warmer. He's not gonna get the most playing time, if you will. Although, over time, he could develop into like a six-man. He could make his way up to the backups. Next is Crimson Fox, and there's not much she can do for the Justice League. I think at some points in time, she has been the leader of, once again, Justice League in Europe. You're gonna have to take your talents over there. The only good thing about Crimson Fox is that she has claws that can cut through promethium, and I believe promethium is one of the strongest alloys in the DC universe. It's actually who is coming up next, Cyborg, what a lot of his metal body is made up of. Even though that is a pretty big feat, I'm gonna unfortunately cut Crimson Fox. The Justice League just does not need her. Then we have Cyborg. I know a lot of people will put Cyborg in All-Star. I'm not. I'm gonna put him in starter. This is my reason. I think Cyborg is a really cool addition to the Justice League, but I am just as okay with him being a Teen Titan. His powers and abilities certainly give him reason to be a starter in the league, but I would have no problem at letting him go over to the Titans as well. Okay guys, that is part one. Soak this in. That is what the list is looking like right now. I will continue this in a part two because, as you can tell, there are still so many characters to go. I might even need to make this 3 parts. But I hope you've all enjoyed part one. Let me know in the comments below if there's any character you would change around the list, what yours would potentially look like. But until part two, and until next time, I will talk to you all very soon.